sun peeks over the horizon. Your excitement builds. The animals in the field start to stir. The forest comes alive with sounds. The sunlight glimmers off the lake, and the mountains start to shed their morning fog. So load up your favorite ammo, grab a few buddies, and head out to make some memories. And tell the rest of the world that you've gone hunting. Gone Hunting is a 1 to 4 player game of family fun where you build a unique hunting ground, scout different animals, buy weapons and gear, and roll dice to hunt. Complete objectives and try not to miss. So let's load up the truck and back Gone Hunting today. See you in the field.
Hey guys, it's Big Sexy with Big Sexy Outdoors. If you guys are looking for your bucks to be big and sexy like me, I recommend you go out and get yourself some Big Sexy by Domain. This product is filled with radish, turnips, and kale, and other vegetation to keep the deer coming back all season long. Go out to your local Tractor Supply and purchase some today. Big Sexy by Domain. That commercial never gets old, Chris. I am just one good-looking dude. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, sometimes I play that at night by myself. Let's put it that way.
Oh, that's terrible, brother. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's funny.
Oh, guys, thanks for joining us. We have Jasvir once again, who has become a part of our show. Chris will disappear in and out. Brandon has joined us again, and our special guest today is Tess Talley. So I hope that everyone paid attention to the links we posted up and the pictures, because Tess has a lot of, how do I want to say it? A lot of knowledge, I would say, in the field of hunting as a woman. And I am super excited to hear about it. Tess, you want to tell everybody about yourself?
I'm Tess Talley. I live in West Texas. Hunting is my life. I still am your typical housewife and have a job, a part-time job as well. So we all have bills to pay. On my spare time, me and my husband, we hunt. That's what we live off of is wild game meat. We don't really buy meat from the stores.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Tell me that part alone ain't exciting. I know that's what we survive on here.
It's recording.
Meat in the freezer. That's it. That's what we eat. That's what we eat, drink, and breathe. I mean, I think we could put it in a blender if we could, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, this is the first year my wife and I are 100% wild game meat, and I am very excited about it. It's been great already, and it put some pressure on me this last season to make sure that the freezer was totally full, but it was cool. So now we're enjoying it, and also it's just good to be out hunting. So it's come together nicely. We've had a lot of really nice meals lately. In fact, we just did a little bit of tenderloin from a 2021 deer last night, and it is true what they say. The freezer makes it much more tender. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I wish I could say the same, but we're too busy here, so takeout is like a huge thing in my house.
Yeah, we do have some of those moments as well. On our downtime, we're running a nonprofit branch here called Trinity Oaks of the Permian Basin. And it takes up a lot of time, but it's for kids, people here in the community, our veterans, our first responders. And so that's one of we pay 110% attention to that at all times.
That's cool. Yeah, tell us more about that. So what is Trinity Oaks and what is it that they do?
So Trinity Oaks is a nonprofit. There's a few branches here in Texas, and we have recently started the one here in the Permian Basin. So our goal is to get, of course, safe hunting and introduce everyone and others to the outdoors. And a lot of kids, mainly is our kids is what we focus on a lot, but we still do for veterans, first responders, and everyone like that. So on April the 15th, we have what they call H2O, Connecting His to the Outdoors. And we are introducing 150 to 200 kids into the outdoors. And they'll be outside all day with a bunch of activities. It's all free to them. They get to mingle with each other. They're making friends. None of them are on their cell phones. They'll be learning gun safety and shooting 22 rifles, clay shooting with shotguns. We have an archery range. They'll be driving side-by-sides and learning the safety of that. Game wardens will come out and talk to them. Wildlife biologists will come out and talk to them. It's so much fun. they'll be in kayaks on the ponds, and they love it.
That's
That's
awesome.
really cool.
Did I tell you I'm 12?
I am on that day. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that you do that stuff. That's what it's about at the end of the day. You know, getting more kids involved. No matter how much we love it, it's getting the youth involved and keeping what we do alive.
And that's how you have to do it.
Absolutely.
So we watch some of your videos and some of your pictures. My daughter and I, of course, I share. You know, this month definitely, I share all your guys' in depth. I mean, I show her every video, every picture. I take her to your webpage. I give her a phone and just say, go to town, check it out. I want your thoughts. And the one thing, we watched that CNN together, and my daughter was stoked on. There was one, I watched like 4 of them, honestly. There was like 4 or 5 different. I had your link, and then I watched 4 or 5 different through YouTube.
Yeah.
And they had one of the villagers on one of your hunts. And he went into depth of how the meat was donated to him, and he loved what you did. And then the guy running it went on to tell. So can you tell us a little more when you go on these safari hunts, what happened to you and what what made you get into it to start it?
Well, I've always been into hunting, raised around hunters in my family. Just a typical country girl raised around the bait shop that my family owned and ran. And so, I've always been around it. Doing it when I was little was every now and then. I started out squirrel hunting, turkey hunting with dad, my brother. And then, time passed by and I was growing up, teenage years, didn't hunt much. Started hunting again when I was, when I got older. And then when my husband and I got together, he's always hunted, of course, also. So we just started hunting together. I fell in love with it instantly. And I was at a gun show, and I ran into the outfitters that I hunted for in South Africa, and they were doing a raffle, a $5 raffle. Like, there's no way, but I'll try. And the following day, they was doing the drawing, and they drew my winning ticket, and that's what started it all. I went over there and hunted, and I fell in love with the country, the people, the culture, the food, the wildlife, the conservation aspect of it. Like, you go over not really knowing, but whenever you get there and you see like what happens after you've harvested an animal and you bring that trophy back, and a lot of people don't understand that the United States doesn't allow that meat to come back over here. So it stays over there and gets utilized.
Awesome.
Wow.
So what was your first animal when you ever went over there?
A zebra.
A zebra.
Yes.
Was that with the Mauser, I think?
The 7x57 Mauser. I fell in love with the Mauser from that day on.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So tell us, just kind of like, I want to just take a quick step back. You were saying you grew up, I think you said Eastern Kentucky, right?
Yes.
So, and your parents had a bait shop. So, like, you went from you're a kid, bait shop, squirrels and turkeys to, here we are now. And you said you met your husband in there at some point. My curiosity is, like, did you start out with fishing? How did that play into, I guess, your interest in the parts and pieces of hunting?
Yeah, so my grandparents owned the bait shop, and it was right there on the lake, on Yatesville Lake, in Lawrence County, Kentucky. And my brother and I, we would just walk over, across the road, fish, and, just catch and release. We were little. We weren't going to take them back or anything. So we would just catch and release, and we ran out of bait. We'd go back to the bait shop, get some more bait, go back over and, fish some more. Like, we stayed outdoors. We stayed outside. And we really wasn't much indoor kids at all. We were always outside doing something. And I think it's important to be in the outdoors.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that, like, having now been to Africa, having done those safaris, you got some perspective on, like, what a kid does there. So how, like, did you get to see any, I guess, locals out hunting or involved in the process? And I guess hear any stories about what their perception of hunting, at least there, is, and what they view it as?
They're very thankful for it because it pours a lot of money into their economy. That, it pays a lot of people their jobs. The skinners and trackers, as far as children and stuff, I haven't had any contact with over there. But the skinners, the trackers, the locals that come in and help the outfitter, make some of this stuff happen, and they're amazing at what they do. And when I say nothing goes to waste, like nothing goes to waste, they, it's what we call a gut pile is dinner.
That's cool.
Yeah, they love it all. They take it all, the intestines, the heart, the lungs, like they're going to eat it all. Liver, the giraffe heart, whenever I had harvested that giraffe and they were skinning him out and gutting him and stuff, getting him ready for the processor. There was like big black trash bags, and I took a picture with the heart, and they had to communicate. My outfitter had to communicate with the skinner that I wasn't going to keep it and take it back to the lodge that night to eat it. And so relieved because they wanted it so bad. I just wanted the tenderloin. I wanted some of the backstrap because I wanted to eat it. I'm not going to and not try it. I even ate the zebra. Everybody tells me I'm crazy because it's a horse, but I'm not going to kill something and not try it or not eat it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super cool. I don't think a lot of people understand what actually goes into that, and the money that you put towards it actually goes to conserving against the poaching there, the conserving of the animals, along with the areas. And I know, like, I feel like a lot of the backlash comes from them truly not knowing that. I think people think of Africa as a country rather than a continent.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, like, there's no grizzly bears in upstate New York, right? But there is in Montana, right? So people in New York are going to go, why are people in Montana killing grizzly bears, right? Whereas as in Africa, like in some areas things are endangered, and in other things they're overpopulated or they're causing havoc. And I think a lot of the pushback comes from people not understanding that, and not understanding how your money goes towards so much more than you just going over there and harvesting an animal. Whereas that animal went to feed a ton of stuff, and it's my understanding that he was kind of a rogue bull that was outside of breeding age and was killing younger bulls in fights, and they weren't able to go ahead and breed. And it was causing an issue with the underpopulation of giraffes in that area because of him.
Yes.
So I wish a lot more people understood that and grasp the concept that we as hunters are truly conserving the land, and that our money goes toward our hunting licenses, and all of our stuff actually goes toward the conservation of animals that we admire and that we want to see live on, rather than get completely wiped out or by their own self-destruction sometimes even. And disease and famine. Like that bull could have lived another 2 years and continued to kill younger bulls that wouldn't allow to breed, and now there's actual breeding there. So I think people have a big misconception of what we do, because we actually do love and admire the animals, and we want to see them forever, and we want to do that through funding, number one, of these programs and the conservation and the economics of those areas also. Like, if they didn't have trophy hunting there, like I believe the statistics are like 82% of their economy in a lot of those regions is brought in by trophy hunting, American trophy hunters, nonetheless.
Well, again, that's like Barnes is saying, and like you were saying here, you were featured on Joe Rogan, if I'm right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said the same kind of thing there too, that a lot of that economy is based on they again this kind of feature.
Yeah. I was actually just looking up some stats yesterday, and what I thought was really interesting is, I guess South Africa every year they do a general auction for all the different tags and trophies that are going to be issued. And I had never really read up on some of like the specifics of that, and it's amazing like how intricate their wildlife management system is. And yeah, it's crazy, and like how it all works, and how that's broken up and divvied out, and then how, of course, like it's utilized like across the country, because they've broken the country, and like just like we've broken our country into states. They've done.
Well, you got to remember though, it's a continent. Like they
right, exactly.
So in the United States can fit 5 times over, I believe, or 4 times over inside of Africa itself. So the governing regions, they have no money. People are very poor, and I mean, we have to remember that a lot of those areas, people are super poor, and also in a lot of those areas, like as I think there was a podcast with Joe Rogan stating that like poachers are really just poor people trying to make money. And now with us funding, like your ability to go over there and do hunts like that, there's more economical growth for those people through us as American hunters going over there rather than them poaching and trying to sell stuff on the black market and the trade. And it's also wiping out herds of things. I mean, that one rhino they have over there, he's got a bodyguard system.
Yes.
Like he does, truly. It's amazing. So,
So how do you go about planning one of these trips? Tell like beginning. You decide you're going to go over. How do you do it?
So you find your outfitter. If you know someone that's been over there with someone, you'll check on their reviews, talk to them. You can check on pricing with different outfitters. I don't necessarily recommend going by pricing because cheapest isn't always the best. And you want to go with someone that's really reliable and heard of. So I hunted with Xander Bierman Safaris, and I will never hunt with anybody different. They've been amazing. We are like family now, So you just tell them kind of what's on your list, what you're wanting to do, what you're looking for in a hunt, and then you see what day opens, what week or weeks they have available to host you at their lodge. You'll plan your flights and you'll go over, and you can take a gun, you can not take a gun. I use the Mausers over there. And then you just they do a count also on wildlife. So on different farms, you just don't go over there and just start slaughtering stuff, just start blasting. You don't do it that way. There's got to be rhyme and reason for some stuff.
Absolutely. I mean,
everything's got to be dipped and shipped, to come back here, and then you'll get a broker. I use Copper Smith in Dallas, and your trophies will get sent to them, whether you get them mounted there or here. It's up to you. Whatever your preference is. I done it over there. I kept everything over there in the economy that I could, and they'll ship it back over here however long it takes. Mine took a little bit longer this last time on the second trip, just because of the publicity that was going on. I was afraid that I wasn't going to get everything whole. So we had to push it off until everything died down in the media.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if Ben's trying to say something there, but I think
sorry, I killed my mic, so I had an echo.
Gotcha. Were you actually trying to say something there, Ben?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Tess, how many years have you been doing the safari side of this?
Been over there twice. I've been twice since 2015.
And how many animals have you killed in this?
Between my husband and I think we have 18.
Wow.
And that's so. I mean, a lot of people again judge, but I mean that's a lot of money you're giving to that country and feeding of those people as well. So I commend you for that, whether someone else does or doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
People against it, the animal rights activists in PETA, they claim to love animals, but I don't think a lot of people realize is that hunters love animals probably more than them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're not doing this out of anger. We're doing this for, there's a reason. There's conservation aspect to it. There's food. There's a lot to it.
There's also an emotional and spiritual connection that I have with everything that I harvest. I battle, and Jazavir and I have talked about this. I battle this with hunting buddies a lot of the I have more of a connection for me, and it's different for everybody else. Whereas, my brother and I actually battle this a lot. Where I don't hunt with my brother a lot because he's more of a kill it, skin it, eat it kind of guy, and there's no connection to it. It's just to pull the trigger and get it done. Whereas I like to put in the work, and I truly admire everything about them from the way that their hair, deer's hair feels, to the ability for them to grow giant antlers, to some of the injuries I've seen on some of the older bucks that I've harvested, and they beat the odds and got through it from the way God painted the feathers on every duck. I mean, it's truly, there's something to it, and it's a connection to me that I'm infatuated by them. There's something about them, and that's a connection that those people will never have. Like because they don't want to have that. They just want to push back on the people that do have that, but take a different stance on it.
Yeah.
And everybody's right and everybody's wrong in this situation. That's the thing. Like, we all have the right to our own opinion, and maybe we're not. I don't see it through their eyes, and they don't see it through mine, but and vice versa. So I think a lot of it just boils down to the fact that we truly do love these things, and we're trying to help them in the long run. And they don't see that. They don't understand what mass genocide would be if we allowed this to just run rampant and go crazy. And it truly would be genocide. Like, these animals would literally kill themselves. There would be more car accidents. People would be dead when it comes to deer, things like that. Elephants, rhinos, giraffes rampaging villages over there, and no economy, and no money. So they would be mass slaughtered by poachers over there to the point of probably extinction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just look at hide hunters in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, it's a perfect example of that. You just you give a bunch of guys, freedom to do whatever they want, and that's why our laws and regulations are so important. And I think that's why a lot of hunters promote and support good legislation around those things for that very reason, because they respect the resource and they want to have it for themselves and generations to come.
So
absolutely,
you sent me a video, or you sent Ben a video, and Ben sent it to me. Can you do me a favor and walk me through it? Now, I didn't watch it yet because I wanted to experience it as we did it. Cool?
Yeah, I'm not. What video is it?
All right, we'll go through it together.
As long as it's not the video I sent you, Chris.
No, that one's
Oh.
Bring me right.
Okay, I still get excited. I still get emotional on that.
Okay.
Wow.
I do. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize how close.
And that's the crazy part is people's like, that looks so easy. Anybody could do that. How could you miss? It was just standing there. Well, they don't know the hours prior to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, walk us through that.
The one.
Yeah, tell us about those hours before it.
So it was first we stayed there in that vicinity, in that area, and they were not that place wasn't equipped for hunters. They just needed this issue dealt with.
They needed that bull gone.
There wasn't, hunters didn't go there. People didn't fly over there from here to go to this specific place to hunt. But this one time needed time. And so that's what we've done. And when I say they weren't, fitted for this, we slept in a barn and stalls before. And it was exciting. You had to come out of your stall and go to another part of a facility there on the farm, just for restroom facilities. It was amazing, different for some people, but it was an experience that I'll never forget. And so finally, when the time comes and the hunt starts the next morning, I was so excited. I was up at 3 a.m. ready to go. And so we're hours into it. I'm waiting for daylight. I'm waiting for everybody to get up. We're hours into it, into the hunt later, and we're looking for this one specific giraffe. And they knew what they were looking for. I was not sure what I was looking for. I knew a giraffe, yeah, but I had also requested, remember, I wanted something older, dark, that's what I had asked for. But did I know for sure at that time? No. But when I seen him and seen how dark he was, I lost my breath. It was crazy. He blended in with some of those burnt looking trees. It was hard, and they hide so well, and they see you coming way before you see them. I mean, they're up there, they're tall animals.
20 some feet in the
they're
air. So.
Off. And just looking for him, there was bones everywhere. And I'm like, Xander, what kind of bone is this? And he's like, that's no giraffe, Tess. That's, I was like, oh, okay. So this is reality. This is real. This is crazy. And I was so nervous. I didn't want to wound this animal and him run and suffer. That's my biggest fear on animals. No matter how much you hunt, that'll always be a big fear of mine is the suffering and wounding and letting it go forever and trying to track this down. And so I had to mentally prepare myself, and I was shaking so bad. I was shaking so bad. But I had to mentally prepare myself and get steady and just, I'm looking at him now. And like, picture, okay, you're going to shoot him in the neck, but hope he doesn't drop his head down. And then you shoot him in the jaw or anything like that. So like I had to be precise, quick, and ready as soon as I could, you know. And that camera was zoomed in. He really wasn't all that close. He was over 100 yards out.
Wow.
And so I got him right in the neck and dropped him. Oh, sorry, guys. And dropped him on the first shot. Sorry, somebody.
Wow.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I apologize.
No, not at all.
And so I was able to drop him on the first shot, and I was so glad, so glad and relieved. And then, of course, when I got closer to him, we finished him off with one last bullet. That way he didn't just lay there and, you know, suffer. Like, I'm not about that on any animal. And so it's a little bit different because I had done other plains games and, you know, whitetail, mule deer, hog, plain is here. So when you shoot them, you give them a little bit. If they're down, you know they're down, you just go on to them, you know. Well, that's what we done with this one. We took off because we wasn't sure if he was going to get up and go. Like, you don't know. There's so much that could happen. And I didn't realize, like, how strong, how heavy, and how tough these animals really are. And they are all heavy and resilient and just strong. And he was kicking one leg, and my outfitter grabbed me in time, and he was like, whoa, you know, back up. If he kicks you one time, you're dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just, there was so much in it. It was one of the best hunts I've ever been on. And I've done a lot of hunting, and it was just the outcome. And then finding out later, you know, that there was a baby finally born there.
Yeah.
That was the best reward ever. Hearing from, I didn't know if I was ever going to hear from them, but finally hearing from them, I was just like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that you did actually like a heroic thing for the species there. Like, you know, they want to peg it as you know, this mass murder of a friendly giraffe, but he's not a friendly giraffe. I mean, he had already killed a few other bulls and had kind of gone rogue on the entire herd, and it could have been, you know, a depletion of even what was already in the area without you being there.
Mm-hmm.
And rather that than, you know, you go kill a healthy, mature breeding bull, you know, somewhere else. I would much rather you harvested that giraffe for the greater good of the species right there. Like, yeah, people don't understand that you really did a good thing for that area.
They react with a lot of emotion by just the pictures that we see.
Yeah.
You know, they don't see prior to anything that we post. So then whenever we post something, and we're always going to be smiling, we're happy.
Yeah.
You know? And so then it's, you know, then you're just for that. You know, you're happy you just killed that animal. Well, there's a lot prior to this that they don't see, and we don't really take into consideration.
I think it's hard
before we post some of this stuff.
Yeah, it's hard emotionally to describe that to some person that just doesn't understand it either.
Yeah.
And they don't want to understand it, which is another thing. And some of them maybe do. Some of them might actually want to understand it, but for those that don't, or those that just straight up don't understand it and never will, no matter how you do it. And there's hunters out there like that, actually, that like the, you know, guys who drive by with a spotlight and spotlight deer out of a pickup truck. I mean, that shit happens everywhere in New York State. I mean, you hear about poachers every week during deer season. They'll never understand that feeling either, because they didn't put actually any work into it other than going to Walmart and buying a $40 spotlight and some ammo.
Mm-hmm.
But to the people who just go off pure hate and emotion for the fact that, oh, you killed an animal or you harvested an animal, whatever, you're a mass murderer. That couldn't be further from the truth. Like, it's not, they don't understand, and they just never will. And you almost can't even argue with them other than just kind of give them facts, you know, and like, here are the facts. This is the way we do it, but they'll never understand that emotional side and the spiritual side and the connection that we actually have with these things. So.
Well, now there are some that are, most of them, they're not able to hold a conversation to get that far. A lot of them, you know, they can, and they do. I've received tons of messages, you know, cussing me out. I'm this, I'm that, I'm terrible. I should just stop because it hurts your feelings. But then once you start explaining it to them and you get down on their level a little bit and you start explaining it to them and giving them some facts and showing them this and showing them that, I honestly couldn't tell you how many haters' minds that I have changed.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, that's a lot. They still may not, agree or do it themselves, but if they just understand, that's the biggest thing that we need. And it's another thing that is against us, and just as bad as PETA and just as bad as animal rights activists are somebody that's out there doing the same thing that you're doing, but they wouldn't hunt a specific animal, so they damn you for it.
Yeah, that's wrong.
So if you're a hunter and you don't like another one because of a way they hunt, a tactic they use, like, you are a problem. You're just as much of a problem as the haters. Like, we are on one team. Like, stay there.
No, I agree. I agree 100%, Tess. I really do. I seen people commenting on one of your posts, and I was getting upset. I'm thinking, we're hunters. What are these guys doing? And you were so calm. You were so calm. I'm like, man, she's just handling this well. And me, I want to go through the phone. I'm like, these guys are ridiculing this lady without knowing anything about what goes on.
Yeah.
And it was mind-blowing to me, especially the fact that they were hunters. I mean, you go into their profile, it shows they're standing there with a deer.
Yeah.
It was go on your phone if you're going on. So it was absolutely mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. It's like, you're not, if you rifle hunt, that's not real hunting. You should bow hunt. You can get closer to the animal. You can.
Oh yeah, everyone's got a bone to pick.
It's all great.
Yeah.
I want you to know, them guys who say that, Chris, not to interrupt you here, but them guys who say that, if they watch last week's episode, they ain't getting that close.
No.
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I got to mute this. It's going to be a big surprise to you, but I'm a big fat guy. You're going to be shocked.
On your phone.
So I got to ask you, what did it taste like? I like to cook, so I need to know. What did that? Yes, what was it like?
So it was a steak texture, just like beef or anything else in that, of that source. It just had a really light sweet.
Really?
Yes. Now, granted, they know how to fix it over there.
Sure.
Now you give them whitetail or, a wild hog or axis or, something like that. And it may be iffy. You might have to steer them in the right direction of what to do.
Sure.
But they know how to cook their wildlife as where we know how to cook our wildlife. So when my friends from over there come over here, some of their favorite is black buck.
Oh, that makes so much sense though, because sometimes I forget that, but it's regional. It's just like anything else. Like there's folks down, actually not too far away from you guys, relatively speaking, but like they love to eat alligator, and it's like that's great. I've had it maybe twice, and it's been fried both times, and I gotta think there's more to it, but I've never been exposed to that. So this is like regionality has a lot to do with preparation of the food and also just the experience you have. So I think that's cool. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, it's completely different when it comes to the different species that we have and don't have, and vice versa. So when I had a friend come over one year, he shot javelina. Well, that was the time of his life. Like he was like buck fever shaking over that javelina that we're just shooting every weekend, because they're tearing stuff up.
Wow. I have a question. I know Chris has shown us this picture of this antelope. I have heard that they smell like a particular thing. Is that true? I've heard they smell like Frito corn chips.
Oh, well, no, I didn't get that from it. No, I don't know. They were good as well. So we done a girls trip up in Wyoming, and we all harvested our pronghorns up there, and we took my husband wanted to kill me, but we took a U-Haul trailer to put all of our stuff in, our rifles.
Cool.
Even took a deep freezer and had it plugged in so that we could get everything cold, frozen, bring it all back and keep it.
Hey, Haley.
Keep it good. But yeah, no, that meat was good. Like all of us girls kept our meat and got it processed and done everything with it just like you would a deer. But no, it was really good. Their hair, speaking of looking at the differences of animals, their hide is amazing. Like it's crazy how thick it is. Like you can sink your fingers into it and the hide just goes up.
Wow.
Their hair is hollow. Like it's crazy. but they got some cold winters.
I've been trying to get, so I'm on, I think this will be my second or third year trying to get a tag in South Dakota for an antelope. So I might have to look into Wyoming too, because I know I think there's some over the counter in Nebraska. But I just really enjoy South Dakota, and I thought Wyoming was beautiful. So I'm kind of
It is.
just trying to dip my toe into some of that.
Yeah, and it's wide open, and they don't call them speed goats for nothing. It's tough. Like, I think he was a 230, 240 shot. I think you couldn't get them. They were gone in no time.
How did you get around? Did you guys hike, or did you guys run side by sides or trucks?
So you can't shoot from any vehicle, any moving vehicle at all. So no matter how you spot it, like, you've got to get out and be standing, you know, or on sticks, you know, anything like that. But whenever we finally spotted this guy, the guy that I was hunting with, we went out to spotted him, and he was just running. I didn't think I was ever going to get him. I was giving up. But we finally seen him way out in the field, and I had to sneak. We was in a single file line behind him, so there wasn't so much movement. And I took her down to the ground, and I actually had to lay down on the ground to shoot him.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
They look like something out of a comic book. Like, they're such an interesting looking animal.
They really are. And they're all different. It's crazy.
So out of all the pictures that we have of you, Tess, I'm going to tell you that the giraffe, I think, is amazing. I absolutely love it. But that is not my favorite picture. So my favorite picture, that isn't it either, is the one where you're standing with your hands over right here. Look, you got to tell me, was that a picture someone took in your excitement?
Yes.
And they actually caught the moment?
Yeah, a friend of mine took that as I was walking up on him and getting a really good look at him for the first time. Now, when I shot him the day before, obviously, I mean, he's looking like he's alive and sitting up. I mean, that's hard. You can prop him up with sticks, you know, that's hard. But it was dark the night before, so I got some look at him. But to get him in daylight like this, like, it was amazing to actually get a very good first look. And I get emotional. I get excited over every hunt. So it's like, it's always something like this.
Yeah, but isn't that why we do it, Tess? Honestly, isn't that the reason we do it?
Feeling why hunt, you know?
I got to tell you, when you sent this picture, you sent the giraffe, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Then I got this one, and I ain't going to lie to you. I was like, that's even better. Yeah. Because if that's a true moment captured, that's cool. That is awesome. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many moments in my own life I've had that, and no one's ever caught it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just takes your breath away.
Yeah, and you just, you know, you hunt by yourself, or you get wrapped up in the moment, and we don't capture all of this.
It's true.
Yeah, I think that's stunning. That photo alone is just a picture perfect to me photo. Like I always say, it's bigger than the kill for me. It's bigger than the kill. It's bigger than it's the end. It's what you feel. It's the excitement. It's the work, you know, all panned out.
The worst part about this guy is the day prior, I missed a bigger one at 50 yards.
I think I saw that video. I think you were just kind of like, you hate to see it.
I shot right over top of him, and he was huge. But
that's not so bad. I was out in South Dakota this November, and I hadn't seen a deer in 6 days, and I was so amped up when I saw one. I shot 3 times and missed it, like standing still at 300 yards 3 times. I was like, I just had to put it down for the night. I felt so bad. I was sick to my stomach, so I know the feeling. So hey, I'm glad you got one.
But we all
deer.
What's your now? I'm assuming the giraffe is your all-time favorite by your excitement just looking at pictures. But if you eliminated the giraffe from it, what's your favorite animal?
Well, and food-wise, probably axis.
Axis deer would be your favorite.
Now, another favorite hunt was the Wyoming girls trip. You know, for our pronghorn. Like, that was a blast. It was just, you know, girls, and you don't get that a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, and one lady that went, I think it had been, I don't know, maybe 15 years since she had killed anything, something like that.
Wow.
It's been a long time, and she's right back into it, but she's right out there every deer season with me. I'm proud of her.
That's awesome. I love that. So, the one thing we want to do in all these shows is inspire more young women or women in general to become part of it, and just to try it, even if they hate it. Just make the attempt to try it. I think that in most cases they'll fall in love with it as we did. Mm-hmm. So, what's your inspiration in all this? What keeps you going?
It's just that I love hunting, and I'm just not going to stop. I love the outdoors. I love every animal that I hunted has a different story. It's a different memory. It's, even if I don't get it mounted, there's euros. I do euros instead, depending on, I can't mount everything.
Sure.
I'm not allowed. I would.
I always say, correct me if I'm wrong with this, Tess, please, because I want a woman's opinion in this, but I always say, in the woods, everyone has a memory as a tattoo. So I don't know if you have any tattoos, but I got lots. And I feel like every time you make something, there's a memory behind it. I have a tattoo on my leg. That's memory of my dad. It's a deer, it's a trout, and a buckhead at a waterfall. That's a memory of me and my dad. And I think hunting's the same way.
That's crazy that you say that. So when I was in Dallas Safari Club, I done a live video with a non-hunter and who was at one time against all of it. And that's how he explained it. He was like, I was against him. He finally hunted one time, shot a whitetail. Now his goal is to go for a kudu. But he was the same way with tattoos. And then his mom passed away. So he got a tattoo in her honor. And he was like, okay, so what I think is so bad and you shouldn't do, it is okay. Now that you think about it and you realize what all could go into it and what it means, and something has a meaning. Everything has a meaning behind it that you hunt or that you've got a tattoo of. And then he was like, okay, so maybe I shouldn't be against hunting. And so he tried it and he killed a whitetail and he loved it. And so
That's
now
cool.
he's into it. Yeah.
I think I actually saw that video. And I think it kind of goes back to what you said earlier, in that most of the time it can be difficult to get people to sit down long enough to have a conversation. But I think that, I've always been an advocate of get them out there in the field to have the experience, because that's what makes it all come together. And as a young man, running around my parents' property and plinking at, sparrows and stuff like that, I didn't really know what I was doing. And later, when I went hunting, specifically for that purpose, it kind of put everything together in a context that was really meaningful. And it's a memory that I'll never forget my first pheasant ever. That was my first hunting trip, and it was unbelievable. And I can remember the look on my dad's face. I can remember my brother. I can remember the guide that we went with, the dog, everything. And I think that when you can put all of that together and provide somebody with an experience, they start to see all those puzzle pieces fall into place. So I'm excited. And I think that one thing, I was talking to my brother about this the other day, because there's been a lot of conversation about, this is for BSO, and for us, it's women in the outdoors. And it's just this month, and trying to connect all of this stuff to, women in the outdoors. And I think that as men, we sometimes don't understand or connect to things in the same way. But what's so cool about hunting is every single woman I've ever talked to that hunts has the same basic takeaways from every hunting experience. And I think that's really cool, because I think there's very few things in our life that will have that kind of, I don't know, it's the analog. It parallels each other so closely that we can relate on that level. So I think it's cool that you're able to speak to that, and also that we're able to share those experiences with people.
I see you, Tess, and I'm gonna just say it. I see you as an inspiration. So I jump on your Facebook, and I see your 10,000 followers, and some are haters, but they're not. The majority's not haters.
No.
My daughter watched your videos, and my daughter was just so intrigued by the way, my daughter's on it. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you're thinking.
So, and I think that you inspire so many others, and not just by your hunting, but look at what you're doing here, helping the kids and the youth. And even bigger than that, I got to tell you an inspiration for me, and I think I told you before we jumped on here, is you do not quit. You won't stop. You believe in it. You love it. It's your passion, and you will follow it through.
Exactly. Every chance I get. Yeah, there's no reason for me to. Why stop to please somebody else? Like, that's the problem in this world.
I'm a 43-year-old grown man, and I'm going to tell you that you're an inspiration to me. When you said that and I watched that touched me beyond words, because I thought, most grown men would just stop. They'd be like, it's not worth the headache. It ain't worth the grief. I've done it myself in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched you confident as ever on CNN say, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I will not stop what I'm doing. I don't feel what I'm doing is wrong. This is what I love. And that was for me was huge. Jasper and I actually talked about this last night a little bit. I loved it. I mean, you got me. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was like your win for me. You could have said anything and you already won.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I think in today's world, there's a lot of pressure from so many different angles to change people's opinions. And I think the only way we're going to change hearts on anything is by connecting with them at a human level. And I think that when somebody has the conviction that you have on this, I think it gets people's attention, which is also probably why it draws some negative attention too. But I know that just faith is a big part of your life, and I know that it is for all of us too. And that's another great example. It's just like faith is something that I'm not gonna change my opinion just willy-nilly on that. And I think that it's really important to stand your ground respectfully and in a loving way towards others. And I'm sure it would be super easy in your shoes to kind of fire back at people in a very negative, hurtful way. Because just like, for all sinners, we all have our problems. It's just like every single person has something that they're not that somebody could find fault in. And so I commend you for not going back after those people, and also for standing your ground, because it's hard in today's world to take a stance on anything because you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah, you're right.
So let me ask you, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but Jasper has me on it, and I go on it to everybody that comes on the show, and I can't forget.
Go ahead.
How has faith affected you, honestly, in this whole thing? We talk about faith and inspiration. I love when people hear how God has worked. How has faith brought you through all of this?
It's brought me through everything. Do you know how many people that could or has been in my shoes and not survived it?
Mm-hmm.
Like bullying, whether it's, at school or cyberbullying, that's a real thing. Like, it really takes a toll on people, and it can take a toll on people mentally, physically. And there's a lot that will or has taken their life over something like that. And I refuse to be one that backs down when they need to be heard. They need a voice also, still standing up for them.
Absolutely.
Told you, she won me, guys. There it is.
I mean, they deserve that. They tried so hard. People just don't back off. They don't quit. You're not going to change mine. That's okay.
As a dad of daughters who've been bullied, I want you to know, I wish more people taught that.
Yeah, it's a crazy world that we live in, where like somebody on the other side of the world can just blare their opinion in your face and make you feel really horrible about something that like objectively isn't wrong. And so I think it's interesting that you said that, and I would say the same thing. I know growing up in a small town, having a strange name, like it's tough. People don't always understand, and I mean that's just right next door. So having that blown up on a global scale is, which is what it is now. It's just it's challenging. So just even I think I won't bring that. There's a UFC fighter that just kind of spoke to this recently too, about men who are basically being shamed for being emotional, and it's just like I don't think that anybody should be overly emotional. You have to have control of your emotions. But at the same time, like as men, women, people, we need to be able to share our emotions and speak to whatever the topic is in a way that's constructive. So I think that's really cool. Is this
It is.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing the whole time, guys. That's me.
Yeah. So
Very cool.
there's times that he would shred some of them, but I'm like, you can't do that. Like you're not that person either. You're just going to react with the same emotion that they're coming at us with or at me with. And I get it. As a protective husband, I totally understand where he's coming from. But instead of just mouthing off and stooping to their level, on some occasions when it's been crazy threats, and there has been some crazy threats, like I've received stuff in my house, like mail, it's I've been followed. It's gotten crazy. Yeah. Tabloids and paparazzi has followed me before to a previous job of mine, blocked me, and I couldn't even get inside the building. And it got crazy. And you still never know. And so my husband's always like, you need to watch your surroundings. And I do. And of course, I carry, but the best part is, instead of, I say the best part, maybe from our perspective, instead of fighting back with him online over a crazy threat or a serious threat, you find out what do they do for a living? And whenever you get a message and it's like, I'm going to kill you, you need to die, a child needs to die. And then they work at, for example, because it's happened, a daycare center. Yeah. And we contact that daycare center and let them know what kind of employee they have, and they lose their job. Don't fight. So that's what my husband has done.
And it's okay to feel a certain way, but it's how you act about feeling that way. That's what changes it all.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. We all have tough thoughts sometimes, but it's what you do with it and how you choose, the kind of person you're choosing to be every day that makes the difference.
Yeah, it doesn't help us as hunters either. Like I get the protective husband aspect, but to fire back just makes us look just as bad.
Right. It paints the wrong picture.
It does. It paints a really bad picture. But if you can try to explain it to people who are willing to listen, they have to be willing to listen on a totally different level of what we do and the love that we have for it, rather than just the kill thing. Like I hate even using the word kill. Like how many animals you kill? I've harvested them. Like it sounds better to me, and it's more of an emotional attachment that way. And controlling your emotions, whether it be rage or whatever towards these people, or I actually feel bad for a lot of these people because they just don't have a lot going on in their lives to even grasp the concept of something greater than themselves, is usually what happens, I think. And so they can't see the big picture. And I commend you for keeping your cool on that, because not that I'd go off on it, but I probably would go quite silent on it. You know what I mean? Personally, and just do my thing and not worry about what the rest of the world is doing. So,
and a lot of their problems with the antis or the haters, the ones that I get messages from or comments from daily, in my opinion, their biggest problem is they don't believe in God.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And I'm like, well, honey.
They don't believe in an entirely different world. I mean, they believe in what they believe, and we believe in what we believe, but they have no ability to not be judgmental, or they put a blanket on anybody who doesn't believe what they believe. That's the truth.
It's been a lot of people just never, they don't fear getting smacked in the mouth anymore.
Well, there's that too.
But I got to say, it's been looking like for the last 15 minutes or so, Haley's been wanting to ask something, and I can actually, where's her head? Right there. In the top of her head. She's been wanting to ask something, so.
She gets too nervous. She locks up, man. She's done it.
That's why
she gets too nervous. She had like a whole book written here, and now she's done. It's over. She just said, "Oh my God, Dad, I can't talk."
Yeah, rattle off that novel. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm really happy to see you're repping Ohio State too. That means a lot.
Quit that crap, Jasmine. That's a junk state. You know it.
Hey.
Tess, the one thing I have to say in the whole thing, and we speak of faith and we speak of ignorance, human ignorance, is, and I hear Brandon and Jasvir in this, and I say, God says, pray for those.
Absolutely.
Pray for those.
And that's
and
what I tell
forgive
them.
their fathers.
And I believe you do. I really do. I see how you react. I don't believe in any way you don't.
That's my reply to a lot of them.
And
it sounds to me like you're probably requesting prayers.
yep.
They get mad, but they need them.
But it's amazing to me. I have to say this. Faith, I don't think we haven't had one person on this show who in a year has not come back to meet us with through God or in faith and everything we've talked about.
Mhm.
And that's my favorite part of this show.
Yeah.
So many people don't realize how God exists or exists in what we do.
Yeah.
He's the creator of these animals. He's a king of kings. And without him, none of this is possible.
I think that's what God, honestly, like we've talked a lot about, God in the deer stand. But even simple principles like discipline, they're biblical principles. And I think that that's one of the things I love about hunting is to be a good hunter, you have to be disciplined, you have to be knowledgeable, you have to be wise. You can't just be there's a lot more to it. And I think that it's cool that that ties in so well with faith. And I think that it's also a really important thing to remember as hunters is we're talking about people that just disagree with you that don't even want to listen. And I think that if you can listen long enough to somebody else and just try to understand their perspective, you can teach them by demonstrating being that servant leader that it is valuable to listen to what somebody else has to say, even if you don't agree with it. Because if you don't, you're never going to learn anything new. And if you're completely and totally satisfied with your box, and God has created an entire world in which you can explore and learn, and you just kind of file away all of your things and then decide never to look at it again, I think that's foolish. And especially when there's so many people that could come together and learn and be saved through that. So it's just having this conversation, sharing that. This has been amazing too, Ben. I think the same thing. Watching these and then getting to be involved in it, faith always comes up, and it's something that's super, super important, just on a daily level. It's cool.
I agree with Barnes 622, but
yeah.
Haley did say she had something to say. She whispered, "I do want to say something," so I'm going to let her say something.
I think it is very inspirational because, so I did look you up on YouTube, and I seen how people were ridiculing you a lot, and you just never gave up. Because even with hunting, I wanted to give up. I crippled one, and I wanted to give up. My dad didn't let me give up. There's points in just life in general that hit hard about bullying, softball, just a whole bunch of stuff, and it's very inspirational. It's younger people not give up at all because you made it so far. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. And you shouldn't give up either. There's no reason to. And if somebody is bullying you, first of all, they're in the wrong. And I always say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't just walk away. Just bless their heart. But you're on their mind. You're doing something right. You're not doing anything wrong. You're doing it right.
My dad always said, if they're bullying you or talking bad about you, they're jealous. So
yep. You're exactly right.
It's funny how often that's true.
Do not give up. Because we don't give up. We got to go through a little bit of hell to be the strong women that we are, and you're going to be one.
That's cool.
So in that, I'm going to ask you this. How much harder has it been? I'm sorry, I just caught that comment.
Welcome, Barnes.
Oh.
How much harder has it been for you as a woman to go through all these hunting experiences? And I realize that you've been ridiculed for a giraffe, but that I don't include that in your hunting experience in general.
Well,
how much harder for you has it been?
Yes, I'm ridiculed for everything since that hunt. It doesn't matter what it is.
But even before the hunt, did you feel like hunting as a woman was harder to become into the field of hunting? Now, you did say your husband supports you, so maybe not.
Yeah. Well, and not really, no. I don't think it should be any harder for a woman than a man. There's nothing that out there hunting-wise that we can't do.
Agreed.
Yeah, granted, some things are heavy. Some of these harvests are heavy, but there's, we're provided with all of this stuff, to utilize to make things happen, and get from point A to point B to the freezer. There's ways around everything. There's nothing that can keep you from doing what you want to do if you really want to do it.
100%.
And I love that answer. I absolutely love that answer. So if we have young girls out there, or even young kids in general, who are looking, they're considering hunting, they're watching this video right now, what would you say to them to inspire them?
That if hunting is what they want to do, then they need to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
I believe that.
I believe that too.
Yeah, that's another thing. But if there's something that you want to do, then you do it. If there's I've ran into a lot of these circumstances where the kids want to hunt, but some mom and dad don't, or mom and dad they don't think they can afford it. There's ways around it. There's you don't have to be in the best camo. You don't have to be you can borrow a gun if you don't have one. There's ways to make this happen. There's a family member. There's a friend's family member that probably hunts that you can go with that can help you. So there's I think every generation, the younger generations, if they're really wanting to do this, someone needs to help make this possible for them.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, it is teamwork.
I think it's getting less and less too, even though after the surge of COVID, we actually saw in New York State, at least, I think it was a 37% increase in hunting license sales, which I found really, really funny, actually. And at the same time, I deal a lot with horses. Horse sales went up here in New York State. Outdooring equipment, as far as boats, kayaks, fishing gear, all that stuff, everything elevated because people were home. But I feel like there's a weird skip in the generation, or maybe not. Maybe it just kind of died out because it wasn't quite as socially accepted with the hunting end of things. And I'm finding a lot of younger kids who might be interested. They've either stumbled upon it through social media, or somebody had a buck in the back of the truck and they're like, whoa, look at that thing, it's cool. But maybe their fathers or mothers are not, and I think it's super important to try and help them. And I can think of 4 little kids right now, actually, that are just getting into hunting, and the father's not really a hunter. I mean, he's got his license, he's got a safety course just to take his kids, but they're not having any luck. And so I try to, and I feel like I don't want to pull it away from the father, because it's it's the thing to go do with his sons and whatever. And his daughter's not really into it. She's more into the horse end of things. But I try to give them pointers every time I'm there, just little bits of information that doesn't make it look like I'm blanketing over their father and pushing them out of the picture to be like, hey, come on, kids, let's go harvest a deer, But it's little pointers to try and help them out. This is where you should go. Watch your wind. This is what you should look for. Things like that to help them. And I think it's really cool that it's coming back around. The hunting surge is back around since COVID, and I feel bad for the people who don't actually have a lot of experience to get out there.
Yeah.
And I think they should seek out a lot more help. And we all of us try to help kids and bring them out to different, your program and things like that. So it's just an interesting dynamic for a lot of families, I think.
That's what I think is so cool about that Trinity Oaks thing.
Yeah.
It's that is really intriguing to me, because even now, I'm trying to work just personal relationships to find folks that, we can help and encourage. And hey, you need some camo? Hey, there's this stuff that I've grown out of, or here's stuff that I don't use anymore. You can have it, or, if you want to go out, you can use my crossbow and I'll sit with you. I'll take you there. I'll show you how I do it. Just taking people out and giving them opportunities. But obviously, we haven't quite created that community yet. So I think that Trinity Oaks thing is pretty cool.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. I can't even. So last year, we had almost 200 kids at one event. And then we've done a fishing event where we had 25 kids, and we was teaching them how to bait hooks, and they were catching fish, and they were netting them, and they were so excited. They from scared to touching them to holding them for pictures to, can't wait to tell mom and dad about it. And, they didn't ever get them out to fish, but we gave them that opportunity. And everything that they used that day, as far as tackle boxes, the lures, the fishing pole, they take it home with them. That way they can keep doing this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So when they come and they do something, we send it with them. Keep doing this.
Awesome.
So now, where can someone send something or contact someone to help donate to what you do there?
You can email Andrew at trinityoaks.org.
I think that's a great thing we need to share because what you're doing is great, and I want to see you continue to do it. We have already discussed if we get board games in, we're going to send some out to you for that auction you have going on.
Yes, and
so we're hoping to have some in for that.
Yeah, let us know about that too, because I know we can always send a couple things over from Browtime for the auction as well.
See, I think it's great because that would also be something that we would love to keep down at a hunting ranch at one of the lodges that we have. It's called the Thumbtack, and there we've got a lot of veterans come to hunt, 80s, 90s. We have a lot of dream hunts, terminally ill kids, and that's their last wish hunts. Because Make Fish Foundation doesn't do anything like that. We're the only ones that does. So we keep, something there at the lodge for them to do because they really can't get out and do a whole lot sometimes because they're sick or on chemo or, they've been given a certain amount of time left and, this is what they want to do. And it's amazing what it does for them, healing wise. Like it takes their mind off of being sick. They don't realize what's going on in their world and their life at that time because they're so wrapped up with this hunt. Mm-hmm. And then they fight a little bit longer to get that mount back, and it's amazing. Like it's wow. Yeah.
I'd like to know what we can do more from this part to be part of that. So you and I will spend some more time messaging if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a village, and it's all donations and volunteers that we operate off of.
I definitely would like to know what we could do more as a group. I have a pretty good group of men here who definitely want to see the kids succeed and what you're doing succeed. So that is a definite. Stay in contact with me. Even maybe we can do something in PA. We can work together. You can give me some of your stuff. We'll branch off. We'll do something. I just want to be able to help in any way from this side of things. So, we're all the way on the other side. and I love it. I love kids involved. My daughter and I, we can have the worst day. I mean, we could argue about boyfriends and whatever you want, but the moment we hit the woods, life changes.
You just threw it.
No, I mean, that's the reality of life. It's not really throwing her a bus. I'm a realist. And the moment we hit the woods, it changes. I don't know how to explain it. We could have the worst day in the world. But the moment we say we're going hunting, we get out the truck, we kind of look at each other like two idiots and laugh, and away we go.
Perfect.
And
you shed hunt, Haley?
No.
She found a neighbor's shed.
Sure.
You get her out and shed hunt if you can.
Yeah, well, we want to train the dog to do it. Our dog is a big bird hunter. We want to get her to start. She's about 2 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we want to get her to start going now. So we just had a litter of 12 puppies.
What kind are they?
Labrador Retriever purebreds.
Wow. See, I've got useless boxers, so I gotta walk and look for these myself.
Oh, my
you want a bird dog, not a bird brain dog.
I'd get her in here, but she'll knock everything over.
Yeah, she'll knock everything over. She gets excited when we call her. I'd call her in and let her jump up, but everything will be laying on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
My dog's passed out on her bed over here. She's my truck dog. She's been with me for 13 years now, little Australian Shepherd. And
awesome.
Yeah, she goes every day, but it's like it's the love-hate thing. She can't actually stay home now.
I think most dogs are love-hate. I love them to death, but they're just like
I love them right up until I want to thump her. Yeah, no doubt. But she's worse than a kid because like she actually listens, but she does things out of spite. So she's one of those dogs.
Yepper, mine's the same.
Yep.
She's like, I've done my time.
You're damn right. I tell you what, though, she is a truck guarding son of a gun. You can't get in my truck. I promise you. I don't care how tough and big and bad you think you are. If I'm not near the truck, you ain't getting in it.
That's great.
There ain't no way in hell.
when I used to work on the pipelines, there was a welder that that used to show up on jobs sometimes, and he had a little Australian Shepherd that would sleep on the flatbed of his welding truck,
Mm-hmm.
and it would hang out right underneath the welder, where it was nice and cozy, warm, and be sitting there watching everybody all day long working out in the sun, and be sitting in the shade. Life is
Yeah.
good.
My dog is the happiest in my truck always. So
Tess, we try to stay on about 45, 55 minutes. We're at an hour and 10 minutes. All right. Ben's dog would attack me yesterday.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I had good reason, Barnes.
Yeah,
I believe
can
it.
imagine.
We're over that. I'm fine with it. I don't care if we go 3 hours. I could never care. But I really want to get through to kids. So I stress to them the importance of what the mindset is, how clear your thought process is. And I know as a hunter, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, there's just a mindset when you leave reality to hit the woods, how things can change. So, a lot of kids, you said it, they get bullied, they end their life. They don't have someone to talk to. They don't have Jesus. I mean, let's face facts. A lot of kids don't know Jesus. Parents don't know him anymore. But explain to them as a woman, because I can explain as a guy. I want you to explain it. The innocence and the peace and the mindset of just doing it.
Yes, there's, so say you're doing a morning hunt, it's peaceful. You get to hear the world wake up. It goes from nothing. Then it's like you got a little bit of break of light coming in, coming to the sky, coming to the trees, birds are waking up. For hours you don't hear anything. Then you hear the one, chirp from a bird, and then they start communicating back and forth. And it's crazy what you see out there. Like you don't even know anything's around. And then it's like a little bit of daylight comes and there's an owl in the tree. There's coyotes out in the field in front of you. You have no idea this whole time. Like it's amazing what you see and what you connect with. That you're not going to get that indoors all the time.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to be thankful for. And before you realize it, like you're not just sitting there in silence in this blinds or in, out in a deer stand, in a tree stand, whatever. You're not just sitting there in silence this whole time. And before you realize it, you're talking to the man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I call it the warmth of the woods through the Lord.
Yeah.
Like there's a point in time in every hunt, even if it's -20, there's a point in time in that hunt where the woods warms up and you truly feel God. Like you hear that one chirp and then the next thing you know, everything's lit up.
Mm-hmm.
Or that one break in the sun or the first snowflake that hits the ground or the dew lifting of the fog rolling off. The first quack or honk that you hear. And then from there, it just kind of spirals out of control, and you're like, you're immersed in it. You really are. You couldn't get enough of it if you died right there. Like it'd be fine. You'd be totally cool with it. You're at peace with everything. And if that's not God, I don't know what is.
I'm actually in the middle of designing a T-shirt that says "God is in my tree stand."
Yeah.
So I'm working on a photo for that right now, but I'm not happy with it. I spent hours on it. And every time I delete it and start over.
Are you going to let him sit there? Or are you going to kick him to the next stand, Ben?
No, he's going to sit with it somehow. That's what we're working on.
Someone
trying to figure out how to design a buddy stand. That's what I want to do. Design a buddy stand and put him in the buddy stand with us.
There you go.
But
I'll see what I can do, man.
I've been struggling with it, man. Everything I cut and edit and move and twist is not working.
Yeah, maybe just do a sketch. Maybe we'll just do a sketch. That's what I did Saturday. I just did. Actually, speaking of all this, I just did. Scripture is really important to me, and but Proverbs 12:27 says, "The lazy do not roast any game, but the diligent feed on the riches of the hunt." So I just made a new T-shirt with a pretty cool graphic for that, and it's just like, I don't know. When I was reading through Proverbs 12 the other day, I was like, dude, that is spot on right there.
Yeah, it was super cool. He sent it over to me. I'm in love with it. So really, really nice.
I have a question, Haley. Since your last deer hunt, and that didn't make you quit, have you gone back since?
Yes, a lot.
Oh, good. Perfect.
I was like 2 days without like hunting because I was like, I can't, I couldn't. And then one day he finally was like, "You can't stop hunting." And I was like, "Why?" I was like, "I crippled a deer. There's no point." He goes, "It's your first time shooting with the bow at a deer." He's like, because I never killed anything with the bow, so I was nervous. I got buck fever. I was excited, and he was like, "You need to get back out." And thank God I did, because I killed a buck that year with my dad.
Oh, perfect. So see, it all worked out. And really, these animals are a lot stronger than what you may think. And that deer may have survived.
He did. We seen him. She don't believe me, but I seen him. He survived.
Got a little
I've
limp, but he's all right.
times. And if you're not missing or wounded occasionally, you're not hunting enough.
Yeah.
We all do that. It's
Yeah.
a part of it.
Yeah, it's happened to anybody who's hunted more than a couple seasons.
And it's going to happen again.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I know it is.
It's going to happen again. But you've still got another story to tell from that. It's another memory, and you're going to get right back out there with Dad, and you're going to beat him again. Yours is
We'll
going
have to send you her YouTube link. She made her farthest shot this year.
Really?
Famous from it.
Yeah, she calls herself famous. It had like 5,000 views in 2 days.
See, that's awesome.
She shot what, about 170 yards? It was about 170.
Perfect.
She fell asleep.
I heard it was 380.
She passed up, and you have to watch the video to understand. But
It was 5 times.
but she, oh yeah, it was bad yesterday, Dave. We won't go into that. We were crow hunting and we couldn't touch them. I don't know why, but so we were there, and you know we just talked about God. And if you watch a YouTube video, you understand it. But I said to her, "Listen to me. God will bless you. He will bless you. If you make the right decision, I promise you, He'll bless you. Maybe not today, but it'll happen."
Mm-hmm.
And she passed up. The farmer, we had a deal. She couldn't shoot nothing but mature doe. We let them walk. She killed her inside. She almost cried.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done. I'm going to sleep.
And literally, when all the deer just about cleared the field, her head started to go, you know. And
Some of the best sleep.
And I just grabbed my video camera because I was going to stand up over and video it so I could laugh at her later. And I was like, yo, get up. She's like, why? I'm like, there it is. Here it comes. And here comes this huge doe across the field. I mean, a big doe. And I was like, there you go. There he is. Take him.
I like freaked out for a second because it scared me. He was like pushing on me like this. And I was like, what's happening?
Tell her how God works. Your gun misfired and everything.
Yeah, my gun misfired.
Wow.
He told me, he was like, do you have a bullet in the chamber? I was like, yeah. And I went to squeeze the trigger and it clicked. So he's like, put another one in. So I like freaked out and he was like, breathe, relax. And then I dropped it in its tracks.
Perfect. See,
I was proud of her.
Yeah.
He was crying.
I was a proud dad. Listen, you talk about getting excited. I'm the same way. When it's me, I don't care if I kill crows. I'm pumped. I'm like, woo! I'm yelling from the trees, you know?
Well, yeah.
But when she does it, it's worse. I'm like a baby. The tears are rolling down my cheeks. And if you don't have kids, I always tell people, if you don't have kids or never took a youth hunter out, you'll never experience the feeling because it's 4 times better than you will ever feel for yourself.
And you always get to the point to where like you'd rather take them.
Oh yeah, I always tell her. I say when I hunt alone, I'm always like, this sucks.
I like hunting by myself sometimes.
Yeah, me
but
too.
I talk a
I'm right
lot.
there with you, Haley.
So then when I'm by myself, I'm always talking to God, or I'll talk to myself. Like I talk to God more in the stand than I do like in life and with softball. It's so peaceful. Like, and I feel like sometimes like I can just like hear Him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you can.
Like
When everything else shouts,
Absolutely.
for sure.
That's true.
Should I send Tess your videos when I give you GoPros in the tree stand?
no.
Dude, she talks. She's like, this is
much.
Haley. I just seen a squirrel go by. I got 17 hours of it.
That's how loud my
No squirrel.
the deer blind. I like to hunt by myself too.
It's hilarious, Tess. Oh my God, I laugh so hard.
In a little bit.
There goes a groundhog. That's not what we're shooting
I don't
today.
do that. I'm not that
Yeah, I'm glad you're documenting. This is good.
Dude, I'm telling you, I have some of the videos I saved just because I laugh at them. I the one, she's like, I'm sweating really bad.
bad.
Forgive me for my sweat. She's, oh my God, I laugh so hard at her.
That's funny.
That's great.
I think what's really cool about hunting, also going back to the women in the outdoors, is it's truly a level playing field. Whether you're a woman or a man, it's all up to you and your actual ability. If anything, I actually think women might have a little bit of an advantage as far as a spot and stalk style hunt. A little smaller, a little more agile than my big ass. I know that. That's for sure.
Then your size 12, your size 12 Red Wing.
Yeah.
Talk about calling it out, huh?
I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I've snuck up on some stuff, but I'm a pretty big dude. I mean, I'm 6'7", 275, 280. I mean,
That's
I'm a
not
big
easy.
guy. So
And especially like some of the terrain that you get in fall time, you got the leaves.
yeah. Especially like the drainage ditches in the mountains where I am and stuff, and all sorts of different things. It's not easy feat, and but it's a cool level playing field. Like nobody's better than anybody else out here unless you truly have like just the hunting ability, right? So like if you took a woman and a man all on the same level and put them out there, nobody's better than anybody else. It becomes a game of God and luck. Like
Yeah.
I'm with
If
you
it's
there.
meant to be, like I said that
Exactly.
about in the interview, I think with CBS, if it was meant to be, then it's going to happen. If not, then something else is going to happen. Like there's a reason. There's a reason for everything.
Yeah. I mean, how many people draw tags in other states for, a mule deer and elk and all sorts of stuff, and they'll go seasons without seeing anything.
I
Mhm.
put in the Kentucky elk draw for 15 years.
Yeah, good luck. They don't
Nothing.
want out of staters in there really.
Not
I mean,
anymore.
they
It's
really
less than
don't.
10% now is what they're drawing.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I got to ask the question. Your husband's watching. I know he is. I'm going to ask the question, Tess, and you got to be honest. I'm going to hold you to it.
Mhm.
What? She almost spit her drink out. I can personally tell you from shooting and hunting with women that women usually are the better shot right off the bat.
Absolutely.
There it is.
Yeah. So speaking of, and I'm going to hear about this too. So, he helped drive us to Wyoming, because poor girls, you really want to have somebody with you. And he felt better being with us also. And he also was wanting to hunt the pronghorn, and he got to. And he did have a successful hunt. 4 shots in. We all shot ours in one. We all laid ours down. Our bucks were down in 1 shot. But this one in here turned his into Swiss cheese. But we were proud of him.
Hey, he's supporting the economy.
Yes, and I'm supporting him.
More ammunition,
Expensive ammo.
more pit
They only put
knowledge.
regulations on how many animals you can take. You can use as much ammo as you need.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Yeah.
And a win is a win. A
I
win
mean, it's
is a win.
hamburger either way.
That'll be the
Yeah.
W for sure.
I'm waiting for
Yeah,
the
I won't even tell you how many times I shot in South Dakota.
A win is a win, man. You got it.
We still won. We still won. But yeah, we got it done.
She lies sometimes.
Yeah, on the ground to pull off one shot, one hit,
I have to tell you, I only asked that question not because I knew we'd get a rile out of it, but
Oh yeah, all the time.
in most cases, if you talk to a dad who teaches their daughter how to shoot, or you talk to a husband whose wife hunts, they will literally come out and say, I don't know why, but she just can shoot better than me.
And
Like it takes him 1,000 and her 10.
It's also hard for some to learn from their dads or learn from their husband. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got that. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes like others do better like learning from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not really gonna get into it with them like you would your husband or your dad.
I thought it was just like the man vision thing, like when you open the fridge and you're like, honey, where's the ketchup? And she's like, it's right in the same damn spot it's always been. You're staring for a half an hour.
Mhm.
Things like
That
that.
guy's wife, right? The Stewart guy, his wife was in Wyoming with me.
Nice.
Oh, was she?
That was one that hadn't hunted in a long time, and now she doesn't miss a season.
Mine
We should have had her on. We should have got her to join you. It would have been
I know.
great.
She's amazing.
That's
She
fair.
loves it. She went from sitting in the deer blind with her husband all the time, and now she hunts by herself.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And
I saw that. Was it Andrew that and I don't know. I saw a video of a couple of guys trying to pick up a huge hog
yes,
the other day,
yeah.
and
So
I was just like, dang, dude, that's a freaking massive animal.
yeah. So I shot him. He was over 250, and they were struggling, and we had a winch. But you wait to point out certain facts.
Oh yeah.
It's content for me. I'm not going to tell them right away.
That's hilarious.
Well,
They
it's like,
struggled with that big hog, but that was a fun hunt. I think hog hunting is fun.
I'd like to do it. I'm really excited to try it someday. If we don't have any real, we've had a few feral hogs in Ohio, but not like, which I'm happy about. I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. I can go down to Texas whenever I want and go shoot some hogs. But I would like to go down and check it out, or either there or maybe some Oklahoma hogs or something like that. So
Yeah.
Tell
cool.
Andrew he needs to get his quartering in the field down. That way he doesn't have to drag as much crap out of there. I quarter everything in the field these days. Nothing gets drugged. I ain't doing that game no more.
He just said he's 6'7". He probably looks like Bigfoot. Tess carrying that out there. Could you see that?
Literally, my furthest drag was 11 miles. 11 miles.
Oh no!
Would you go the wrong way?
Why?
No, I tracked that deer in the snow for 11 miles.
Yeah, so you just put
I tracked him 11 miles in the snow. And most of my drags were an average of at least a mile for the longest time. Yeah. And then a buddy in Texas, he goes, when we hunt pigs and deer out here, it's so hot, we got to get them done. So he showed me how to no-gut method quarter.
Oh, that no-gut method is
there's no other way to do a deer. There's no other way. I don't care what anybody says. I literally do them right there, whether it be on the ground or strung up, and put them in a pack, and I pack them out. It's a lot easier for me to carry the meat on my back than it is to drag it through the leaves and the woods and the water.
That's true, yeah, depending on where you are. We'll try to get ours up to a certain point, and then we'll just go and get the side-by-side or something and take it out.
On our public, we're not allowed to run any sort of motorized vehicles. So
really?
I've used the horses, but that's a whole nother thing. You got to get up even earlier to load horses in a trailer to drag them where you need to go. So,
Brandon, what did they pay you to be on the Jack Link's beef jerky?
You like that, huh? Free supply. That's why I don't turn any of my meat into jerky, boy.
That's right. I almost forgot about that. Oh, Brandon, I learned that lesson last year. I had to drag. I've only had to drag one deer more than a quarter. I think it was last year's about a mile, and it was most of it was like shoulder high grass. I said, I'm never doing that again. I learned my lesson, and I will quarter every single deer that I have to go more than
absolutely.
That's even hard to find in tall grass like that.
It was a challenge. I was fortunate that I shot it from I was on a tree line. I was about 20 yards back in, sitting on a white oak tree, and he fed through just like I expected. And I was really fortunate. Just like it's like we were talking about earlier, like if God wants it to happen, it's going to happen. It just was so textbook. Just came right where I wanted to. Dropped him. It only went 40 yards, but he ran about 20 yards into the grass, and it took a long time to find him. I was ashamed to admit, but needed a thermal drone.
Yeah, like a thermal.
Yeah, literally my last drag. I vividly remember this, and I was probably about 6 miles out, and I harvested this buck, and as I'm dragging him, it was all like up, straight down, straight down for miles, right? And finally I get to a spot where I have cell service, and I call my parents. My dad is doing nothing but setting traps and eating food on a Saturday or Sunday morning. So I call him, and I'm like, hey, meet me at this road. He goes, what time you think you'll be there? And I'm like, give me 45 minutes. I'll be there. He goes, all right, sounds good. So as I'm coming off the mountain, I can see my dad's truck pulling up through. It was -5 degrees that day, and I had drugged this deer. He was 168, 169 pounds, almost 170. I didn't have a shirt on by the time I got out of the woods. I was sweating profusely. I mean, I had jackets and then layers and then layers and layers in my backpack to the point where I'm down and I don't have my shirt on. Like literally, I'm dragging this thing like freaking that shot of Putin over there in Russia riding a bear shirtless. That's what I look like dragging this deer out of there. And my dad's like, "Where'd your clothes go?" And I'm like, "Dude, I feel like I'm in 120 degree heat right now. The oven turned on dragging this deer."
There's another Bigfoot sighting.
Literally.
That's right. Exactly.
6'7", no shirt. I couldn't imagine.
The sweater vest, buddy.
That's great. Have you guys to hunt?
Size 14. Extra wide.
You know what they say about guys with big feet, don't you?
I can run faster.
No, they wear big shoes.
Well, that's true, but I can run faster, Ben.
Like I said, big socks.
That too.
Big socks.
No, holes in lots of socks.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah,
Thanks, no.
literally.
Sorry. I do laundry.
I wear a size 14 too, so I get it. I feel it.
It's brutal.
What are they putting in the food over there?
I would trip and fall.
Yeah, so I was just
There's
like,
no way I would want that in my way.
It's
Yeah,
good,
I
it's good
feel
stability.
that. It's not good. I'd rather small feet. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's not a good thing.
No,
My
I
dad
would-
always says I should just walk on water. They're like 2 boats.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would sink if I tried that. But my problem is boot sales. I don't know about you, Ben, but like I can't buy boots. I have to order them. Like
Yeah, I'm in the same
oh.
boat.
I
Yeah,
thought you were gonna say you had a fundamental problem with like purveyors of boots putting things on sale. I was like,
I do that too. I mean, like there's certain crap I don't want to wear. Like those are not boots. Put that thing back in the trash. But
Good hunting boots are hard to find sometimes.
oh, you're not kidding.
There's the truth right there. Good hunting
Really
boots
hard.
are hard to find.
Comfort and quiet. You're gonna get
What
worried.
actually? That's a great. So I know boots are different for everybody, but I know I'm trying to find my wife Kayla a good pair of hunting boots. Do you have like anything you really like or found that you really like?
You know, it's crazy. So I use Timberlands. I like those, and they're quiet. And then throughout the rest of the year, any other time, I try a lot of times. Gotta be in snake boots because we are covered in rattlesnakes.
Sure.
But I like mucks
Yeah.
if you've got pants on, because if you don't, they're gonna smack the back of your calf,
Yeah.
and that's not for hunting. But I like mucks because they're comfortable, they're loose, and they're waterproof, and I just stomp through everything no matter what it is.
Cool.
Are you the one that stomps through it purposely?
Mhm.
Jumping in puddles.
Yeah, look at her smile. Look at her smile. She's
If we get
guilty.
rain, that's a good day. And I think
Yeah.
it's just started pouring the rain here. We haven't had rain in a while.
Yeah.
I hope
I'm the same way.
But I
I'm
like
playing.
it.
I'm out there. I got to be in it.
I want to hunt in the snow. We don't get a lot of snow here in West Texas, and I am dying to track a blood trail in the snow. Not crazy.
well, even just tracking
I
tracks
know
in the
exactly
snow
what you mean.
I
is,
think
is
it's fun.
something cool.
Yeah.
It's a
trying to
cool
find
thing.
butt tracks and get going on them.
Yeah.
We'll have to get you out here. We'll have to get you out here once we have. I'm telling you, I love PA in the wintertime. Now we didn't get much this year.
Oh,
No,
really?
No, we didn't get. I think we had one snowstorm and it was like 3 inches and gone the next day.
Yeah, you guys didn't get nearly hit as hard as I thought you were with that. I know, like Buffalo got dumped
Oh
on.
my
We
God,
got
Buffalo
a ton
got-
of snow over here, but I mean, it was just super freaking cold. Like
my
negative
brother works for the
5.
state, and he ended up having to go to Buffalo for snow removal with a loader.
Really?
6 foot on the highways out there. People were literally dead in their cars.
Yes.
Like,
We might get a dusting a year, if that.
No,
We've got
no,
any-
it was 6 foot. I mean, I think the most snow we got was close to almost 13 or 14 inches this year. But like Buffalo got hammered. But where
Wow.
I am in upstate,
What I just realized is it's 6 foot of snow, your nose and your eyes.
oh yeah, just straight up abominable snowman, just cruising through, man.
Yeah, mine does that.
I'd be able to see the store coming.
There it is again.
I think it's
Sasquatch.
considered as a Yeti at that point.
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah,
that might
that
be
The abominable snowman.
Yeah,
the abominable.
like the old Christmas movie there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guys, we're on an hour and a half. We are way past time. Chris just sent me a text, said, watch your
He's
time.
going to bed.
So before we go, anybody have any more questions for Tess?
I think we covered it all.
Yeah.
And-
Tons
and
of
thank
questions,
you.
but I
Thank
think
you.
I'm good for today.
Tess, what do you want to leave the viewers with? Tell us what you want to leave them with.
If you're doing something in life or with your life, don't stop because someone doesn't agree with you. Do what you want to do. You're on this earth to serve a purpose. And if you're doing what you would love to do, that's the purpose that you're here to serve.
Absolutely.
I think that's fantastic. That's great advice.
I got tongue tied.
So, guys, next week, we have Linda White, Trapping Girl Incorporated, will be on. So she'll be special guest. Tess, we super am happy you joined us tonight. I love that you joined us. I love your spirit. I love your energy. I love your passion for the sport. Your husband made me laugh. I love to laugh. So I enjoy having both of you. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I will get you games out there, even if it's late. We'll get you games out there. Okay, that's a promise on here.
Onions, honey, they'll love it.
So we'll get you some out. I did mention Linda White. What? There was one other thing. I guess it doesn't matter. It wasn't important. So I'll leave you with this. God says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you."
Absolutely.
And I think that's probably the best advice we could let her.
Haley, you keep up the good fight and you do not give in.
I won't.
Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That
Amen.
is the truth.
Amen. Thank you, guys. Everyone have a great night. God bless every one of you. And from BSO, we love you.
Absolutely.
Night, guys.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Tess.
Thanks, Tess.
Thank you.